So welcome back everybody. Recently we did a demo day here on the property and had a multitude of mowers. And before some of these mowers get picked up and go back to their respected owners, I decided I want to do one more comparison video that may help you out. It's not often that you get a big front mount mower side by side with a big mid mount. There's pros and cons to both. Y'all know I love equipment, love talking about it, running it. We're going to do a little bit of that in this episode. So let me give you some pros and cons to a traditional sit on top mid mount zero turn and a front mount. So without a doubt, sit on top mid-mount style zero turn mowers are the most popular, and for good reason. So let's go ahead and talk about the obvious. Look at the length difference between a mid-mount versus a front mount. I have them lined up side by side in the rear. As we go to the front, you'll see that the front mount sticks out at least another 2 to 2.5 feet further. All right, for me personally, no big deal. I've got the barn space and I'm not a landscape professional. That's where you're gonna see a lot of people prefer a mid mount, just room concerns. Maybe a front mount, by the way, they make much smaller ones than this. This is the biggest one you can get with a grasshopper. So back to the room. Maybe you don't have room, maybe you're parking in a garage or you got limited barn space, or if you're that landscape professional, a lot of them prefer mid mounts or stand-on style mowers because they can stack multiple mowers on a single trailer. So to some people, room is everything. To me, I'm all about comfort and getting mowing done on a large piece of property. Now there is a feature I want to talk about to shorten this up, and the whole reason I own a front mount. So while overall size is definitely a con to the front mount, and the clear winner is going to be the mid mount or stand-on style mower, you can shorten these up for putting on trailers, putting in the garage, but the front is designed to lift up for other reasons. Now maybe you've seen this before, maybe you haven't, but there is a power lift deck feature right here. Basically a big electric actuator right here that's designed to lift up this entire, this is a 6-foot deck, by the way, biggest one they offer. So take a look at this. This is without a doubt the biggest pro for a front mount and definitely a con for a mid mount. Look how easy it is to get underneath there and clean wet grass clippings out from underneath the deck, to change the mower blades, just to do overall service. Gone are the days of having to figure out how to jack your mower up, crawl underneath to do any of that. You can put that on a trailer that way. So now look at the difference. We've just went from about 2.5 foot longer to maybe 12 inches longer. See the rear? I think a lot of people miss that option. Probably if I was going to transport like this, I would just put a ratchet strap up here to something solid on the machine, just so there's not so much stress when traveling. Or you could put it up in your garage like that, for example. But you can save a lot of room by that front lift deck. Now, ultimately, it's not designed to lift for that particular reason. It's all about the serviceability. So look at how easy it is to get underneath. Again, rinse all the grass clippings out, scrape the deck. Look how easy it is to change these mower blades. So without a doubt, this is the biggest pro to this style mower right here, and the reason that I wanted one of them. Now, since we're on the subject of the front mount deck, there is another huge pro, and I had no idea this was a pro until I actually got this mower here and started using it. I knew I always wanted one, but honestly, I had never mowed on one. I just desired that front, easy to access deck. So because the deck is out front and pivots independent of the mower instead of being strapped underneath, this is a much smoother ride. This is by far the smoothest mower I've ever been on in my life. So I'm gonna cut into a clip right here. You can see we have a dip in the yard. Look as the mowers enter this hole right here. Well, one kind of goes down in, you see the front deck pivots. It's a nice smooth ride on the front mount, and then when you come through there on the mid mount, it just kind of has a completely different approach angle. And it's hard to show on camera, but riding around the yard, a mid mount just feels a little more jarry. You feel it in your bone. But this, again, the deck's kind of independent other than one pivot point of the mower. The deck may be taking some shock with the small wheels falling in the holes, but you don't feel it up here. It's not underneath you, yanking down and beating around on the mower. Now, don't get me wrong. The mid mount drives just fine, but there is a night and day difference that you cannot understand until you actually get on this mower right here and feel it. I don't think I will ever go back to mid mount personally, unless I had 2 mowers, would be about the only way, because of the ease of service with this front deck and the fact that it makes this thing ride buttery smooth. So definitely some huge pros there. But let's go back to some cons. This machine, there is no perfect machine. This has some issues. There's a little bit of a learning curve with these because you're so far out front and you have tail wheels off the rear of this mower. Well, you've got to pay attention. Look back here, nice and compact behind the wheels, whereas look how far we stick out behind these wheels. Ultimately, what that means is this mid-mount is more agile, it's more compact, so whenever you go into tight corners, you don't have to really subconsciously pay attention to how you're swinging on the rear. Whereas with one of those mowers, you do. And it's got a very short learning curve. As long as you're kind of just sweeping through a curve, I found the rear tail wheels on that doesn't hit anything. So when you back up or kind of hesitate, you need to pay attention. Maybe you're swinging around hitting a picnic table, a light pole, a wall, things such as that. I've been very fortunate, been running one of these going on 2 years now. Haven't had any contact with anything that I can remember, but I'm always aware and paying attention. So if you're constantly in tight corners or tight areas, the mid-mount's gonna make more sense. Compact package, spins on a dime, not to mention that spins on a dime, but you're swinging more out front, more in the rear. You really got to pay attention to the rear on those to not knock stuff over or make any impacts. Really, what I see these mowers for is big, wide open properties. Don't get me wrong. With a deck that sticks out like this, I can go whip around a tree or anything, no problem. But if I was constantly in city lots, around homes, picket fences, just tight corners all day long, this would not be the mower of choice. It would either be something like this or a stand-on. I was talking about the blades and all earlier, but look at this whenever it comes to servicing your belt. Full access to all my grease points. I can change my belt and change the tension by literally lifting one strap. Whereas when it comes to a traditional mid-mount, well, you've got covers and it's much harder to access those things. Although Grasshopper did something very smart. They have this where it lifts up and you can get access underneath. You'd be shocked, there is a lot of mower brands out there that the center plate like this is completely bolted down. You have to get tools out. Quite aggravating. So at least they made this one pretty easy to access, but you still have covers over your spindles over here. Now I can tell you as far as stability, I've had people ask me about that. I can't really tell a difference between both machines. Some people, I guess they've just got it in their mind because this looks so different to them, thinks this might be more tippy. Absolutely not. Super wide stance. I've got a heavy diesel engine in this, super low center of gravity. Now keep in mind I'm in Florida, pretty flat here, but I do have some ditches and other things around the property that I drive these on. Not once has either of these mowers ever even remotely felt tippy. All right, so let's jump in. Probably another con for this machine and a pro for this machine. I'm gonna cut to some more clips right here. But ditches and approach angles, well, that's where the mid-mount can kind of shine. Because you've got such a long machine right here and the front deck sticks out front, when you go into a steep ditch and then need to come out of it, well, your machine starts doing some pivoting, funky angles, which is designed to do. But at a certain point, parts of the deck can potentially hang up. You've got the long tail wheels in the back and you eventually reach an odd point in the bottom of the ditch. You can experience some minor hang up. Whereas when you run through the same type of ditch with a more compact mid-mount where the front and rear wheels are very close together, well, beautiful things happen. Your approach angle and the way that you leave the ditch is much easier on a mid-mount. So if you're doing a lot of steep ditch mowing, well, mid-mount may make more sense to you, or even a stand-on mount makes really good sense down there. They're extremely compact. Now, if you have a lot of ditches, don't let me discourage you from a mower like this. There's a very easy way to take care of that. Mow up and down the ditch, not in and out of it. Just mow up and down. Problem solved. But if you're in a very hilly place or in a lot of those steep angles like that, the mid-mount's probably gonna make more sense to you. All right, as we're getting down and wrapping this up, here's another huge pro to a front mount machine right here. Limbs. If you have a limby property and you need to constantly mow up underneath limbs, this is the clear winner. You sit back here, you have several feet of front deck that can get up underneath low-hanging limbs before you are ever poked, prodded, or scratched up by limbs. Huge, huge pro that people don't often think about with these. Whereas with a sit-on-top mid-mount design, look, you don't start cutting until the front edge right here. Well, that's exactly where your legs are. So there's no getting up underneath the limbs with one of these. Pretty much what most people do is whip underneath the limbs with this side. So you've only got a small minor cutting area to get underneath those. Or you just get off and go weed eat underneath those limbs or prune them back. That is a gigantic bonus to this, the way that you're able to reach out over things. Speaking of that, do you have pond edges or areas to where you don't want to put the heavier tires in? Maybe it starts getting a little muddy. Another huge benefit to the front mount mower like this is you can kind of reach out over edges that you can't with this design, because you've got the weight of the front wheels that would fall in whatever it is you're mowing. Yes, you still have weight and all up here, but the machine weight, what could muddy up the ground, get you stuck or rut up, is back here. All right, as we wrap this video up, one huge pro to this machine, maybe this is a pro to some of y'all, maybe you could care less, accessories. The beautiful thing about these front mounts is drive shafts. You see that right there? So you can quickly take off the front accessories and run things like blowers, snow blowers, dethatchers, aerovators. The list just goes on and on and on what you can attach to these. So if you're looking for kind of a do-all accessory type machine, a Swiss Army knife, so to speak, this is a clear winner. At the end of the day, while I haven't price shopped, I believe your mid-mounts, they're gonna be more readily available, probably a little more affordable. That's definitely a pro. They're more agile, they're smaller, take up less room on the trailer in the shop. There is a whole host of reasons we just went over and why these are extremely popular. Whereas again, the big takeaways here, the serviceability, the ease of just accessing everything, clear winner for me. The buttery smooth ride, it just does not get any smoother than this. The ability to mow up underneath limbs and the ability to add accessories are all clear winners for me, and why I'm going to continue to stay with the front mount. Hopefully you learned something with today's video. I thought I'd take advantage of having this mower here. It's about to leave in the next hour or so, so I thought I would record a quick video. I would love to hear down in the comments, do you want a front mount? Do you prefer mid mount? Why? This is good education and information for people that are out shopping right now to see. So drop your comment down there so people can go see some real world, real use comments. I'm sure you're going to think of things that I absolutely have not thought of today. I appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch you on the next one. If you want any information on Grasshopper products, link will be down in the description.